Hey guys, just potting up at the beginning of my Class Wars Finals video. I am in Warlords Hall this time, so I'll be fighting um people ranked 17 to 100 this time. The seating works a little bit differently here. Not seating, sorry, the pairing works a little bit differently. In Warlords Hall, you'll see me fight every single person from the top 16 once, except for myself, of course. And but this time around, it goes by win record. So it's more like preliminaries where everybody who has the same number of wins is in a pool together, and then you randomly select an opponent from there. So a lot more repeat fights here. Here's Sylvian with a nice 5-star guy. So it's still vast majority of players still in the top 100 will have dark pets. That's definitely the favorite for mages, but definitely a little bit more of a mix-up. I think I see at least a couple Hercs, or maybe it's just Matt D, and I just fight him so many times. You'll see that pretty soon. Within a few fights, I end up fighting him many times. It's a pretty definitive win there, but there was a perfectly good chance for me to fight somebody very strong. So it's me, Matt D, Ariel XP, and Daphne. Daphne, another Kabam player. Here I get tripped up by that darn Chaos Rune. I mean, I don't find it that unpleasant to kill my own troops, to be perfectly honest with you, so I always find it funny that people like this rune so much. I will, at least give you a little bit of crap every time that you use it. It's just not my favorite pick. I think the nicest use of a Chaos Rune I've seen is maybe against my friend Smartass, who hit a Chaos Rune when I did a Centauria, so I ended up giving her my Centauria. But if you're going to use it, I would say that's maybe the way to do it. Otherwise, I think at the beginning against mages, it's not terribly consequential to make a mage kill their own troops. They'll end up AoEing you anyway. So that's for any class. So I think in a knight class wars, or maybe an archer one, but mostly for a knight class wars, Chaos Rune is maybe a good idea, but elsewhere, yeah. Here I don't get my Guardian Rune out, which was pretty dumb, but I see the mistake and want to fix it as immediately as possible. But if you don't get your Guardian Rune out, there's not much you can do about fixing it. I was a little confused at first because I was ranked 4th, but I think the rankings seem to fix themselves after. I do have the most BR out of anybody in Warriors Hall, so if I have, even if I'm tied for the highest win record, I should be the person who is in first. Here I'm fighting Snorri, another Kabam player. Mildly familiar with her, but I haven't seen her around as much. Maybe she's playing less. She is talking about quitting the game, which, a lot of these players, especially somebody from Kabam 1, they've been playing this game for a long time. So even if you've enjoyed it for a long time, not everybody can stick around. I'm still pretty enthusiastic about this game. I have a lot of good friends through it, and so we enjoy the game together. But I think sometimes it's a little bit draining, and so she seems like she wants to quit, which is a pity. But enjoy people while they're around. She uses a Guardian Rune here early, which a lot of players do. I've definitely done that a while before I figured out how to do double hits later on in my, not double hits, but how to do double hits in my Sylph mode without needing to rune immediately afterward. So yeah, here I have a pretty big edge. She's a good player, but I think she's at a big BR disadvantage, so she probably did a nice job getting a couple wins here, and just took a bad draw against me. So only 8 players with undefeated records at this point, so the pool is definitely getting smaller as far as people want to play. Lysana just beat my buddy Alpha Prodigy. I was really concerned that in one of the earlier rounds that I would end up playing Shaq and All, who's my Wartune wife, or Alpha Prodigy, who's a very good friend of mine. So I was quite concerned I was gonna be fighting people who I play with every single day, pretty much. But Lysana ends up beating Alpha Prodigy, so he's kind of um, out of the pool of people who I end up fighting, and I think Shaq probably took a loss somewhere. I don't know when. And so I don't end up fighting them, but here I can kind of, I guess, avenge Alpha. Uh, but well, that was actually a nice bunch of crits. Let's see a Guardian rune, which I think is interesting to say the least. Maybe it's up now. Yeah, I think that's maybe a little bit late. Just if you're that low on health, I put out the Guardian rune a little bit earlier. But regardless, I think that's just more of a BR thing. So, just 4 of us. Myself, Matt D. Who was the other one? Ariel. Yeah, Ariel. And Helsing Jr., another Kabam player. Same server as I think Daphne. I think it was him and Daphne for the longest time. We're always at the top of Kabam, so it's nice to see that they're still playing at least somewhat competitively. Here's Ariel, and I've fought her, at least a few times in the past. In Warlord's Hall, I did lose once to Ariel, even though I think I have a decent chunk of BR on her. The gap actually might be closer now than the time that I did lose to her, but anyway, I'm definitely not going to take her too lightly, and I want to get the edge on her any way I can. She's using a blood rune here. Not a huge fan of this blood rune thing. Yeah, conceptually, even I don't love it that much. A Centauria pretty much takes care of any bleeding that you'll do. So I think that the idea is that you'll deal more damage if you have a bleed on somebody. But I'm not sure that really matters. I think that even an advanced bleeds for maybe 7 or 8 turns for 8k. And so, unless you bump it up to that maxed out bleed rune, which I don't think anybody has or will anytime soon, I don't think it's that useful. I think a strong Guardian rune blocking a Delphic and maybe one other hit will prevent more damage than whatever you deal on a blood rune. So I guess Blood Guardian, is that what people are thinking? We'll think about it. So here we go, Mana Shield. I like the Mana Shield. I know a lot of people are still pretty critical of it. I definitely was at one point. I do like it. I just decided not to go with it this time. I auto attack into Sylph. I don't know what happened there, but I definitely wanted to get in there ASAP and get a hit off. She's got me on HP, but I think one thing is that you don't want to overheal. So here I have the advantage. It didn't even really feel like I dealt the most damage there. I mean, she had a nice fight and had more health than I did at the beginning. Again, I said I have no clue how the Tidebreaker works, and it's really true. I think it's supposed to be damage done. That's how it's announced, but just in my head, it just doesn't quite feel right. Here's Matt D, who I've become awfully familiar with. Him and his little puppy. So he's one of the few Hercules users I face. And since I end up facing pretty much all the same people, I don't get a really good feel of who's using what sylphs, just because it just ends up being Matt D, Almighty One, Ariel, I think Twikitty towards the end or somewhere in there. So I fight a lot of the same people, but I definitely see his Herc several times. He does really well here, and is beating up all sorts of dark bats with that legendary Hercules. So you can still do very, very well in Mage class wars with a Herc if your PR is very high. Um, uh, I do think dark bats have a huge advantage as Mage fighting a Hercules. Hercules is a magic attack pet, and Mages have a lot of enda. So yeah, I have the edge there, and so yeah, it's myself, Matt D, Omidion, Darkhawk, Mage. I don't actually end up fighting Darkhawk, which I was surprised. He seems to be doing pretty well at the beginning. Maybe take some losses there. But he's a buddy of mine, so I was happy to. I would have been very, very glad to fight him. I'm very, very competitive with people who I'm friends with. So I've probably told at least one of my friends that I'll never lose to Smartass or Darkhawk very very happily, put it that way. I'm sure Smartass could actually manage it one of these days. Um, but I won't be pleased. Here's Topaz or iTopaz, and I lost to her in the prelim, so I was definitely itching to beat her this time. I was you know determined to play pretty well. Yeah, I don't think she plays as well as last time. I get the damnation out and get into Sylph mode, and she's doing a Centauri, which is up to that point pretty reasonable. But she does do a Guardian rune here right after Sylph mode, and I don't think she did that in the prelims. I think she either waited more or maybe I was just dumber in the prelims about when I was timing my ultimate. But by doing that Guardian rune so early, I was able to protect. To wait it out, and then I also was able to protect myself just fine with the Guardian rune. And so I get my ultimate out and several more Sylph attacks without her having any Guardian rune on. She does manage to get some heals in, but I don't think it really matters here. I get a nice crit there, and the 50% bonus is definitely helping me. So I kind of risked a little bit staying in Sylph mode so long, especially when she got out so early, but I think it was for the best. Here's Twikitty, Tweekitty, I don't know. She got all those little hearts and stuff. So another orange Gaia, so it's definitely not just Warlords Hall where you see that. But in Warlords Hall, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody has an orange Gaia at this point. I can't recall anybody who doesn't up there. And so, yeah, very, very competitive, but still quite competitive here. I don't go undefeated here by any means, even though I was definitely the favorite as far as just BR and maybe player experience, but there are still a lot of people who have had who've been around a long time here. I think Warlords Hall is kind of a space for big time cashers and like the more fast-paced cashers, whereas Warriors Hall, you'll have a lot of the up-and-coming players, but you'll also have a lot of people who have just been playing so long that they have really good tunes, but maybe haven't had cash as much. But here I have pretty nice advantage. Once those Guardian runes go down, a high-quality Guardian rune can make anybody look very, very strong and take very little damage. I was taking a peek at Warlords Hall throughout this. At this point in time, Garlic was still not Garlic. Gruntar was still in the lead, and tied with Garlic, who has a really nice performance as well. Matt's saying he had to refresh, and so he seems to play quite a bit better now. I think the first fight he was auto attacking a bunch and probably just experiencing a whole lot of lag, and I've definitely been there. I think here it's basic meteor, and I use a bolt. I thought I had plenty of rage there, so thought I would have just used damnation and gone into Sylph. So here Matt's getting into Centauria, and I think that's a smart move or good timing from Centauria. I do think that the mages tend to do it a little bit too early in class wars. I think, maybe against a knight or an archer who does a lot of physical attack and you take more damage early on in the fight, that an Centauria is appropriate earlier on, but against mages, I think you can wait a little bit until things get closer to Sylph mode. See here, I had a pretty poorly timed Guardian rune. It was way too early. I don't know why I waited so long. I mean, why I did it so early, and I don't know. That was a mess. So not playing so well. So there, Matt gets a really nice Sylph turn. He's also out of Sylph earlier, which is not good. I definitely like being the first one out of Sylph mode. The person who very obviously has that strategy was iTopaz. She did maybe like 2 or 3 Sylph skills. Well, not 2. Okay, maybe like 3 or 4 Sylph skills, and then immediately got us out of Sylph mode, wanting to get in there early. So it didn't work out for her that time, but yeah, everybody takes a slightly different strategy, so you can't expect the same thing every time. The only things that you can really expect are somebody's going to save the Guardian rune at some point in their Sylph mode, and you need to be ready to kind of time things nicely there. It's getting towards the end of the fight, so I pop a Guardian rune. Not totally ideal outside of Sylph mode, but yeah, he gets a strike out, and I don't. But either way, I think I would have lost this one. I definitely was not dealing as much damage, and I just didn't play that well. But we both have 8 wins, so I get them immediately after this, just because of how the pairing works. So here I was definitely much more careful, or at least much more diligent. Wasn't so much that I wasn't trying to win last time. Of course, I'm always pretty competitive and wanting to do well, but it's really hard to go 15 fights without making a single mistake, and being able to predict your opponent very well each time. I do think as I go on, things tend to feel a bit better, but even so, just plenty of places to make mistakes. The one thing that was definitely better this time around than last finals, which I had been getting so frustrated with recording lag, and the recordings will still lag me a bit. It's never too easy, but whatever I was doing, whatever I did before this class wars, I need to do before every class wars. So here, Mage just gets into Sylph mode a bit too late. He does have. Well, he beats me that one time where he was performing quite nicely, and he also has some other fights with me that I think he fares a little bit better. He just was a little slow into Sylph mode that time. So here, after taking that loss to Matt, my friend Blaine, who was boxing Alpha Prodigy, was saying that if I lose to Matt again, that he's going to name one of my sylphs. Gonna name one of my sylphs Matt D. So I said he was on. I think bets can kind of be useful and make you a little bit more competitive. But here I have Ariel to worry about, so I can't focus on that too much. Flynn, who was obviously playing for Alpha at the time, said that if I did beat him the rest of the times, that I could name Alpha Stoon whatever I wanted, and so little friendly competition. Boone and I always seem to think up really dumb bets, so that's just one of them. Here, Ariel's very friendly, so gives me a little good luck, which was on return. You get familiar with people and see them each month or very often anyway, and so I think you can only hope for the best for them. Here, Ariel is using a lot of bleeds, I guess taking their kind of technique of trying to get in a lot of blood damage, which is definitely what was used earlier on in Mage class wars. It might be more effective here, where you might get players with less HP, but I find, so many people have over 400 HP. They Centauria for 20k plus ticks, and so I don't find the bleeds quite as effective. I saw somebody, oh, I forgot who it was, combine kind of a bleed rune, and then use Centauria to kind of counter the bleed, and then they had I forgot what the purging skill, like a scatter shot in their dark pet. They had that and got rid of the Centauria, so maybe that's kind of effective, but even so, it's not totally my favorite combination. Here I have a bit of an edge being able to get out of Sylph mode earlier and therefore into it again, and so I think I have a good chunk of chunk of damage dealt advantage on her. Even though I think she just got a really nice regen, so is actually ahead of me in HP. So a win there, but definitely against Ariel, a little bit sweatier. Definitely against the dark pets, they have a better chance of pushing it to the full 2 minutes. With Herc users, I think it has to be kind of kill or be killed. I think usually, a Herc will not kill me most of the time unless there's a huge BR disadvantage. Then again, I've seen some really nasty crits on my own tune from other players. But I did have that one loss to Matt, where he did a nice job. Here Matt's saying we fought each other, we're gonna be a couple soon, and I was just saying, don't revive if I kill him. I do have a level 4 ring, so if we were married, it doesn't quite work that way. I have fought Shock, my Wartune wife, in group arena before, which was sort of unfortunate. But that does not count as being on the battlefield with your spouse. You won't revive each other in different teams. Here Matt has his Guardian in kind of fashion, but I think I get mine in as well. Or maybe not. Early for his Delphic. He pushes that Delphic very late, which I'm not sure is the greatest strategy in the world. He definitely wants to wait out that Guardian rune, but at the same time, you definitely risk not having enough awakening points. That's definitely a strategy you cannot take against a wind sylph user, Medusa, because Medusa has a skill that steals 500 awakening points, so you can't dawdle and not use your Delphic there. Here I get a little bit of help from my pet, and so I managed to finish him off before he gets any more heals and such in. I say a couple of rounds to go here, but it's actually 3. But here I've got a Mighty One, a very strong player, another one that I often see in the top 16 when I'm in Warlord's Hall for finals. Using an Amnesia rune here, which is not totally my favorite lead. You saw iTopaz used that before as well. I get the idea of wanting to do the Amnesia rune a little bit earlier, but the whole point of Amnesia rune is really to use it close to Sylph. It's much more of an issue if you block Sylph skills. You can also prevent people from using their double hits if you take away some of their faster Sylph skills. So yeah, not totally my favorite. To me, you kind of want one rune that is meant for in Sylph, and then one that is more comfortable outside of Sylph, or just somewhere, not in Sylph mode. And for me, that's heal rune. I think that's kind of a conservative choice. It's maybe not necessary. Maybe I should go with that bleed rune now that I think about it, but I don't know if I'd really want to switch back to a bleed. So yeah, here not playing my finest. Looked like I had an advantage there. Maybe I should have stayed in Sylph mode or tried to get one more hit off, but I didn't. And I think I really pay for it here. I didn't have the best set of Guardian runes in that portion of the play either. So I'm really trying to make up for it here. I don't know why Centauria here. I think it's sort of unnecessary. I think I was just worried about the heals. I wanted to use my heal rune. It was blocked. I didn't have restore either. So I ended up just using Centauria, and it's not my favorite choice. I would have been able to make it to my heal rune without using anything, and but I probably just panicked a little bit there and was concerned about dying. So here, anyone, because I used that not sulfur, heal rune, kind of late, I didn't have a guardian rune for the end of the battle. So yeah, Almighty One gets a really nice win here. Definitely deals more damage than I do. So yeah, so that was a loss, and we actually get each other again here because Matt D, Ariel, and Almighty One are all tied with 10 wins. So I was gonna definitely fight at least one of them. So I definitely adjust my play a little bit here to make sure that I'm on top of the sylph mode. Not sylph mold. I don't know what a sylph mold would be, but yeah, I definitely throughout this, each time that I lose or anytime I lose in Class Wars, you know, definitely not indestructible um, by any stroke of the imagination, but I'm constantly trying to think what the tiebreaker is. I think it has to be damage dealt. Maybe it's just like, you get a bad deflect or something, and so you feel like you're winning, and there's something in there that you just didn't notice, and somebody actually ended up dealing more damage than you do. I mean, a huge part of it is who has the better guardian rune. So like here, anyone has guardian rune up for my Delphic, but I also have mine up for hers. And my guess is I have a better guardian rune than the vast majority of the players here. There might have been somebody floating around that's cached a ton of runes and exchanged them to have a level 8 advanced guardian rune, but by the time of the finals, I did have mine up to level 7, which is a 65% reduction. So I was glad to take that one. I don't think there's anybody who I lose to here that I don't later end up beating, which doesn't make the losses feel that much better, but at least a little bit a short moment of redemption. I get Matt here again. It's our final little rendezvous. And I think because of the last one, I say just Ivy Wedge, our final little ceremony. Here, this is just about the Centauria timing that I like. It's basically one move before my last move to Sylph. Or maybe I just completely throw that out the window because I use a meteor there for some reason, which does not give me enough rage for damnation. I think I had a moment of indecision there because I think I wanted to get into Sylph mode, but usually I would have probably just used damnation there. I think I was more concerned because I didn't want Matt to get too far ahead of me in Sylph mode. So here he does a very, very early Guardian rune. I don't think that was totally the best choice. And I managed to get my Guardian rune out all right, but maybe he learned from the last one that he was cutting it so close with his Delphic that he's a little bit worried and tried to do it earlier. Not totally sure on that, but yeah, just get that little edge to be able to knock him out. Oh, that was a deflect. So yeah, that's that. I took first in Warriors Hall, which puts me in 17th place, and Garlic went undefeated in Warlords Hall, which is fantastic. Gruntar taking second, and Solara third. Nicholas just short in my 4th place spot, which I call the bridesmaid spot. So yep, took 17th, and and I guess that's about as good as I can hope for if since I didn't make the top 16 section. So really, really big congratulations to Garlic getting her first Class Wars win. I do get 32,000, not 32,000, 3,200 glory crystals here. Take a quick peek at my wagers. So I lose my wager, so I just get my 729 crystals back, and take a quick peek at the what's it called, my wagers. I don't know why I'm putzing around. This is probably about voicing back over. So I put in Gruntar, Nicholas, and Garlic Breath. I had a lot more fun with the wagers since I wasn't actually an option. I almost always put myself first because I think it's the wrong attitude not to bet on yourself if you're an option. But yeah, so big congratulations to all the winners and everybody who was in finals. And have a very, very good day, you guys. Take care.